What's this? A plush toy?
Regardless of why it's designed to look like the conductor aboard the Astral Express, this doll, is it connected to the case?
Have you ever heard of something called a red herring in detective stories? It's a fake clue that leads you down the wrong path.
I see. Well, when it's so obvious, doesn't that defeat the purpose?
That's just in case you didn't realize the ingenuity of Miss Sparkle and were worried about her throwing out a random, useless clue.
I see. Thank you for your keen insight. Then, let's pretend we were misled by a red herring. This doll, could it be connected to the case?
You don't have to play along that hard, you know.
Doesn't look like there are any more clues. Let's head back to the crime scene.
Next, should we pin down the identity of the perpetrator? This evidence, I've been staring at it all day, but there's nothing that can identify the perp. Lefton, that guy lost his hand. Remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured after the incident at the cliff? Right? I remember this one best. Right has a broken leg.
Why don't we flip the question and start by asking who couldn't be the murderer? After all, there are only 3 suspects, so elimination could be a valid method.
If you put it like that, then do you already have someone in mind? Tell me, come on. So, who exactly is the murderer? Remember Zhongshan's face was disfigured after the incident at the cliff? Right?
Poor guy. He was seriously injured and was all wrapped up in bandages to keep his good looks safe. If that's the case, then he couldn't have made it through the Goldhammer residence's facial recognition system. That would suggest that Zhongshan is not the murderer.
So, who exactly is the murderer? Lefton, that guy lost his hand.
Based on the bailiff's statement, Lefton's dominant hand was seriously injured to the point where he had to learn how to live using only his left hand. Swinging that giant sledgehammer to murder someone, that must be hard for him. Probably impossible. Lefton's suspicion level can be downgraded.
By process of elimination, it seems that only Wright could be the murderer. That was easy. Let's tell the constable our answer and see what he thinks.
Please begin your investigation, Lady Black Swan. There are lots of clues at the crime scene that are sure to help you apprehend the real culprit.
The murderer is Wright.
You have answered correctly! As expected, you didn't disappoint, Lady Black Swan. Game rules stipulate I must tell you where the next puzzle is.
Huh? The next puzzle? I didn't sign up for this.
Looks like the key to winning lies not in the puzzle itself, but in the motives behind Miss Sparkle's strange behavior. I'm afraid this chase may just go on forever.
I have to remind you that Sparkle is a masked fool? Do you plan on finding logic in the mind of a masked fool?
That's exactly what I plan on doing. Even if it's just subjective, there must be an overall principle behind the behavior. Memories cannot lie, and hers may just understand more about her than she does herself. Right now, let's follow her train of thought and head to the next puzzle. I hope this time we can get ahead of the Bloodhound family. I want to try and avoid using my Memo Keeper powers.
So why are you so focused on Sparkle's challenge? Or should I ask, are you more focused on Sparkle herself?
I told you, it's purely out of a spirit of competitiveness. And as a Memo Keeper, I also have to fulfill my responsibilities and harvest some interesting memories.
Here's the Penacony News. Once again, another moment of peace has passed golden hour by. And that concludes the news. I wish you all safe.
Whoa, this place is a complete mess. And those two weirdos are probably here too.
There's nobody else at the scene. Seems like Miss Sparkle used the same method to send dreamers back to reality. Let's talk to those two there, then.
Oh, Detective Black Swan and Detective Sampo! You finally made it!
We don't know what we'd do without your help.
Why are you talking like that? Is this some sort of artistic performance that young people are into these days?
Is there something wrong with the way we are talking? Deputy Sheriff, am I talking in a strange way?
Oh, of course not, Sheriff. The way you talk is no stranger than the cat that climbs the apple tree in my grandma's backyard.
Huh. The skit this time is a modernist one.
Let's discuss this difficult case then. The victim is a galactic business magnate named Sparkle.
Her again? Sparkle really is obsessed with scripting her own death.
Oh, for the laughter. If you undercut me one more time, I swear I'm gonna kick you in the butt. Miss Sparkle came to the fashion store to buy herself a brand new tie. She didn't come back out. After a long time, the shopkeeper went in to see what was going on, but instead discovered Miss Sparkle's body. She had been strangled to death. There were 3 suspects on the scene, namely a Papashi shopkeeper named Wright, a Foxian gambler named Zhongshan, and a wealthy Intellitron trader called Lefton.
Our old friends.
It's not just to aid your memory. We've added more descriptions to help tell them apart.
Miss Sparkle is so gracious.
Based on surveillance footage, witness testimony, and various pieces of evidence, the killer is ultimately among these 3, and they were not working in cahoots.
You're too lazy to be a suspect, right?
Oh, for the laughter! If I talk anymore with you, it'll make my pure soul filthy!
Detective Black Swan, the dossiers are over here. You can learn more about the suspects from me. I trust you'll be able to cut through the hogwash and find out who Miss Sparkle's killer is. Let me introduce the identities of these suspects to you. It's very straightforward. First of all is the shopkeeper, Wright. He's one of the Papashi people and only stands as tall as Sparkle's waist, which is often a source of teasing for him. He can get pretty salty about it. Next up, you have the merchant Lefton. He wants to join up with the Penacony Trading Guild and is in direct competition with Miss Sparkle. That could be a motive for killing her. Finally, there is the gambler Zhongshan. He lost a bet to Miss Sparkle, and he had to hand over his family heirloom. It's possible he harbored a grudge against her. That's all the information we have. Do you need me to repeat it?
That won't be necessary. I remember it all. There's an accounting book lying on the ground. It must have been specially placed there by Sparkle.
On the title page is written Chen Katong. Is that someone's name? A code name. Oh, I think it's the name of the owner of this book.
This Jian Katong person should be Sparkle's targeted victim this time around. And there's the tie.
That skit before said that the deceased was strangled. Is this tie some kind of joke murder weapon?
The tag on the tie reads, "Only for Imperial Master Lefton." Seems like it's one of Miss Sparkle's personal belongings.
That's not how you use the word imperial. So, it's just like the first case then. Only 2 pieces of evidence. The rest hidden inside her memories again, right?
Miss Sparkle doesn't want to distract your investigation.
She doesn't want to distract our investigation? What a law-abiding citizen this Sparkle is. Why doesn't she surrender then? A little stool that seems quite normal. There are 2 small footprints drawn on it in crayon.
The footprints, which are half as big as standard, must belong to a Pepeshi person.
Perhaps it's just that this person's drawing skills are extraordinary. What's that smell? Why is there a smoked red herring there?
Mr. Sampo, take a look. This is a wonderful smoked red herring.
Somebody save me from this cringe joke.
Even among the fools I know, Miss Sparkle's sense of humor stands out from the rest.
Have you dealt with many masked fools before?
No, only a handful. After all, I prefer warm memories baked in sunshine. They're the ones that usually belong to kind people.
This clock is...
Open it up and take a look.
So there's a ring inside. This is evidence too. Why was it planted inside another device?
Because this ring was found inside the victim's mouth. We want to reconstruct the scene of the crime.
In the victim's mouth.
Hey, there's something engraved inside the ring. Zhongshan family heirloom. That should be it. Let's head out.
I have to thank you, Mr. Assistant Detective, but the puzzle this time is pretty strange.
Have you found out who the killer is?
Just some shallow intuition. Anyway, let's report back to the sheriff for now.
Oh, for the laughter! Didn't think I'd be seeing Detective Black Swan so soon. Was that? You found out who the killer is?
Pretty much.
You live up to your reputation, Detective Black Swan. As smart as the nest of magpies roosting in the roof of my Uncle Frank's garage.
This guy is mixing up his birds here.
Then go ahead. Who is the killer, and what evidence do you have to prove the case? Good. Then let us appreciate your powers of deduction. Have you solved the case? This guy, Zhongshan, is a card shark who used to play Get the Koi with Miss Sparkle. He gambled away his entire family fortune.
Once again, another has passed and that concludes the
This ring is a piece of evidence, right?
That's right! That's the one! What would a penniless wretch of a gambler like Zhongshan be doing at such a fancy fashion store as this? Because he was planning on robbing it! He'd stolen Lefton's tie and was just about to get away when he saw Miss Sparkle, the one who'd stolen his family fortune from him. So, he darted into the changing room and tried to get back his ring. Who could have known that Miss Sparkle would end up swallowing that ring? All Zhongshan could do was use the tie in his hand to try and strap down her neck to prevent her from swallowing the ring. But he unexpectedly managed to strangle Miss Sparkle to death. What a tragedy! If it weren't for your incisive detective work, the murderer would still be at large.
Is something wrong here? This is too easy. The first case wasn't hard, but this one...
As you can imagine, the conclusions that the evidence points to are not mutually exclusive. Which means, this is probably another prank from Miss Sparkle. Mr. Assistant Detective, please feel free to point out a suspect as the murderer.
Ah, I see. Sheriff, the murderer is Lefton. The evidence is the tie, right?
Correct, Detective Sampo. I never thought you'd be able to deduce the truth.
Sheriff, the murderer is right. The evidence is the stool, right?
Yes! For the laughter, how did I fail to realize this formidable intellect of yours?
Then, right from the start, there was no murderer. The evidence is the ring. Whatever, I'm just spitballing here.
Goodness me! Deputy Sheriff, is he really a genius? How could such an unfathomable mystery be solved so easily by him?
Look, Miss Sparkle has given us a puzzle where every single answer is correct.
Why take it so seriously? Miss Sparkle is a masked fool, not a masked genius. If it's a challenging puzzle you want, please go out there and turn right until you get to the Intelligentsia Guild. We're only responsible for providing an entertaining detective experience. Anyway, since our genius detective Black Swan has cracked the case, I will now share Miss Sparkle's next puzzle with you.
So that's it? This is just going to go on and on forever? We can't do that.
Hmm.
Then I wish you both the best. Oh yes, if you're not in a hurry, I can tell you the answers for some of the outcomes you never chose.